So ABOUNA, you've given us many examples of how these vows work and like the miracles God does. Has there ever been a time when a student follows these vows and then they don't get blessed or God doesn't work His power?
Believe me, the answer is no. Never failed.
Welcome everyone to the second episode of St. Mark's podcast. We are very, very blessed today to have ABOUNA YACOUB with us. Thank you, ABOUNA, for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
So I'm the faith captain, Jacob Gali.
School captain Joseph Skander.
School captain Alethea Georgie.
Yeah. ABOUNA, before we started, I was looking through my photos yesterday, and I know you're a priest. You've been a priest for a long time, so I found this photo of you being baptized. You baptizing me. That's me. It's very nice. But yeah, I just wanted to show you this photo. And before we start, we usually like to play a quick game with the priest. We play this or that. So I'm going to ask you some questions. Tell me which one would you rather. Okay? Okay. First one: movies or books?
The word movie include any
Whatever you
videos,
want.
Yeah.
Anything you like.
Yeah, I think it's more dragging the attention. Use your eyes to see more than only the ears.
Yeah. I'm a movie guy. But yeah, movies. Yeah. Gym or swimming?
Both.
I know you're into the gym, guys.
When I have no option, my cardiologist told me that I have 7 stents and they wouldn't survive me more than a couple of years if I don't play sport. So I have to.
I know you hit the bench. How much can you bench?
And I used to bench 70 and 75.
Oh.
Wow, that's a lot.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Yeah, I'd say summer too. That's kind of mine.
I have to say winter.
Tesbaha or liturgy?
Liturgy.
Easy. That's an easy one for you.
Well, it's there's something there. Yeah. It's given for the forgiveness of sins, so it gives me a lot of joy that I understand that out of the liturgy, it's given for the forgiveness of sin. So I get restored to the feeling of the Jesus blood of the liturgy.
Actually, on this question, did you enjoy the liturgy before or after you became a priest more?
Both, but after priesthood, I saw the power more clearly. And we're advised, mainly from Pope Paulus, that that's the time of mercy. The liturgy is the time of mercy. So when we have petition with the Lord, we have repeated praying the Mass, we see the power of God on answering the prayer.
Super. Coffee or tea?
But I had it today.
Okay.
Fair enough. Are you Europe or Asia for traveling? Do you travel a lot?
No, not now. I lived in Europe 7 years, and
Which country are one?
Czechoslovakia.
Wow.
We
Really?
used to buy tickets there for the local currency, which was very, very cheap. So we traveled a lot, but this is something like 40 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Adil travels a lot.
I did spend some time there as a baby.
Yes. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Nice person, maybe.
Definitely.
Okay, last question I was going to say is early mass or normal mass?
Well, I love the early mass, but I'm weak, so I do the other mass. Just we have a stronger priest in our church that is after the early one.
Jake wants to start.
Okay, I'll ask the first question. So remember, we wrote these last night. Can you share with us how these vows with God originated and your first success story? I heard that it all originated from a chess game with a certain priest.
Well, I look at it as a way of. I read a book by Originated. the origins, that he said that the word making vow and the word prayer were interchangeably used in the Old Testament. So making a vow is a type of prayer because I can gain something from my future acts. Like God has no time like us. Time is a commodity for humanity. We have past and we have future, but God has nothing like that. So God sees the future as He saw the past, which means that I can gain now something from God because what I'm going to do in the future. So it's borrowing time from God. And it's the Bible say make vows. So it's encouraging. It is encouraged. And actually through vows, you feel the interaction with God more because you offer and expect. So it's two-way communication between us and God. I've seen that in the church many times, how people make vows and they receive from God His mercy for things that they are going to do in the future. Do you like me to say stories, for example?
Yeah, if you
I
have.
remember one gentleman that came as a specialist doctor, and he sat the recognition exam 3 times, and they didn't pass him. And one Australian honest person told him, "Son, you are not going to succeed because there is a cartel of these specialists that they do not like a new Egyptian to be a member of this committee." And he was thinking that there is no chance for me. The system in the Western world is that the recognition exams happen 3 times, and if you fail 3 times, they give you a fourth and last attempt based on the biblical, the parable that Jesus said that a tree was left 3 years and then the owner asked for 1 year more. So based on that, it's always 3 and plus 1, and 1 is the last. And this gentleman was in the church, very depressed because he was going one day after this mass for a test that he knew that they are going to fail him for the last time. I spoke to him about vows. I gave him a piece of paper and pen to write vows, and I read the vows very strong. I remember, and I said, these are hard to achieve. I have no other option. If I get recognized to be in Australia as a specialist, I'll do these vows happily. I said, keep this nice paper in your pocket for the exam tomorrow. He telephoned me from overseas. The exam was overseas. And he said that the paper worked. As I said, the vows. And he passed. He is now one of the very successful specialists in Sydney. This is one of many examples that I saw about receiving something from God based on a vow that you do. Of course, the Bible has examples.
So, ABOUNA, you've given us many examples of how these vows work and like the miracles God does. Has there ever been a time when a student follows these vows and then they don't get blessed or God doesn't work His power?
Believe me, the answer is no. Never. Never failed. Adel, my son, was Sunday school servant, told me once, what if it backfires? People will lose their faith. I told him, when it doesn't work, I'll stop. But it works always. There's one case. There's a girl, some 20 years ago. She made vows such that she'll get a special university course. And she fulfilled her vows. And she got ATAR less than the cut off by 20%. So she was very far. And she was broken, crying. On that day, I said, Ivy is right. I should not do that. I should not boost their confidence. Let it be the will of God. We do whatever and accept whatever. And I told her, well, wait, the second round offer, this final round offer. She did. She received nothing at all. So I remember one day I stood in front of the altar and said, Lord, forgive me. I'll stop encouraging people by saying to them vows to give you whatever you ask. And I was sad for her because she's a very lovely girl. Then on the same day that I said that, I received a telephone call from her. She said, imagine what? That was mid-March. And tell her what? I received a telephone call from one of the unions saying, are you still interested? Then I returned it back to encouraging people to vow. And I saw cases that almost impossible. But with proper, there's one girl that came to me and said that I made vows and didn't work with me. But she made this vow on a piece of paper, and I have a copy. I looked at what she promised. Among the things that she promised, she said that I'm not going to attend any function in the church because she was in HSC, she liked to study. But I remember there was no single function that she didn't attend. I told her, what about this item? She laughed. If we make vow, we have to be serious. It's something, an agreement with the Almighty. Shame on me to give a promise to a friend and I don't fulfill. How about a promise to the Almighty? Make sure that if you make vows to God, you fulfill them.
Actually, on that topic, so us all being human and being sinners and having faults, what if we unintentionally slipped up and we weren't able to uphold one of our promises and our vows? Is there hope to continue, or like khalas, it's done?
Well, you speak to your confession father, he may give penance or he may give a replacement, but it's better before you make these vows to discuss with the confession father, because sometimes we make vows that are very hard to achieve. Yeah, someone say, I give you an example. There's a lady that came from another church making vows to God in front of me that her daughter will be healed from a very serious disease. And I told her, she said, what can I do? I said, serve God. She said, what type of service? I said, a service that is humiliating, like cleaning the toilets. And she said that I promised God in front of you, I'll do that all my life. Of course, this is not practical because who knows? She may be weak physically. I said, no, you give a promise 1 year and then you renew it. This is an example that sometimes we should not give vows about something that is not achievable. That's why I say, discuss it with your confession father. He may say to you, replace it. Yeah, I'll give you an example. Someone say, I'll never watch pornography, bad things on my laptop. I prefer another vow. I'll make my laptop out of my bedroom. I never have my mobile, or this is achievable because I can keep it to be charged outside. But to give a vow of something that sometimes I may not be able to achieve, this is something not false. So discuss it with the confession father and accept his advice to you. But once you agree on it, then that's it. Keep it in front of you. And because we lose the power of vowing if we do not fulfill. Like if I vow something, I receive the effect of my vow, and then after that I don't fulfill my vow, then this may be a reason for me after that
How do I balance study and my spirituality this year? As in, should I be attending multiple liturgies, tisbah? Like, is it okay for me to skip these liturgies, skip tisbah, skip whatever I was doing for study? Is that fine this year as a year 12 and even younger boys?
If ABOUNA George agrees, I believe one mass in the week will be enough for HSC students in particular. One Sunday school meeting
A week?
a week, one a chapter of the Bible every day, one prayer with every day. This will be enough. And then when you finish and they have summer, then you can be giving more time to the Lord. But sometimes we escape from study by and coming to the church. Is not God like understand that your study is glory to God because many jobs are mission. And for example, if you are working in the health area, you are giving a chance to help the people to evangelize. Many people accept Christianity because of the service that the Coptic people do. Abuna Dawud Lama was telling me that many countries that are not Christian countries, they welcome the Coptic doctors as the prophets coming from God because of they don't charge, they offer them money, offer them effort. So when you study, keep in your mind that I'm doing it for the glory of God, not for my own glory. And this takes depression for me and anxiety because I'm doing it for the sake of God.
Abuna, on this topic, you always tell us and you like correlate the careers of medicine and dentistry with service. But does that like cancel out or exclude other careers from this idea of service?
Not at all. Teachers, for example, great. Yani, when people have a nice. When I was a student, 300 years ago, my physics teacher was Yusuf Mansour. He was archdeacon. He was celibate servant of God. He changed the whole class, Muslims and Christian, by saying the wisdom of the day. He writes on the board wisdom of the day. And then he writes a sentence said by Jesus. He never said that Jesus said. And the Muslim loved this wisdom of the day, which is saying Jesus. So he was really injecting Christianity in their blood without saying it's Christianity. The same with a famous Catholic priest called Maxwell. He's a Catholic priest. He goes and teach in Arabic world in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait about leadership. If you listen to his talks, he's actually speaking about Jesus. The expression of servant king uses it without saying it's Jesus. So there are many professions other than health that are very any place. Jesus said that you are the light of the world. When you are honest and serving God, then people love Christianity because of you.
But if possible, I just want to read a small excerpt and get your opinion, and then we'll be done for the day. But it's a collation of verses from the 1 Corinthians, verses 14 to 20. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? But in fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. If they were all one part, where would the body be? Abuna, throughout the duration of this podcast and the beautiful sermon you gave us in the liturgy today, you heavily encourage the pursuit of renowned careers in health and, those fields. So you're wondering how that would align with the analogy that, we're all made to be different. And
definitely, if everyone is doctor, then who will teach? So we complement each other. But the main thing is to keep in my mind that my job is to represent God. There's a nice book written by disciples of Pope Carolus. The title is "You Are the Light of the World." There are many Christian people that affected the whole world by their humbleness. I studied in Czechoslovakia, and one professor there invited me to his house. I was a student. He was very nice. They have a system there that you take off your shoes before you enter because the streets are always wet. And the houses are carpeted with nice carpet. So we take off our shoes at the door. When I finished my visit, I found that his wife washed my foot, my shoes, and cleaned it. I said, those people must be Christian. And I dared to tell them about, there they hide because it was a communist country then. But I spoke to them about Christ and they didn't know. They are very Christian. I said, impossible for a wife of a person, very high. I was a student. Who am I? That she washes my shoes and clean it. So this is the light of God. The expression of living gospel has been injected in the history of the prophets by ABOUNA YACOUB. It's a common verse and a common expression that they say living gospel. But the first one that used it was ABOUNA YACOUB. He was telling people you have to be a living gospel. The gospel is not a book. The gospel is a person. I can see Christianity in your action more than read it in a book. We complement each other.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much, ABOUNA.
Thank you,
Thank
ABOUNA.
you, ABOUNA. Very blessed to have you.
Thank you very much.
Just
It's
pray
very
for
nice.
us. Pray for us, ABOUNA. Thank you.